Dad got put in jail. She got thrown by a rock. She got hit by a car. No wonder why she has amnesia. No wonder why she's in an asylum. What to do, baby? It is Xavier White over here. Welcome to a it's gonna be a very interesting video. So this caught my eyes. This video said, oh Jesus. This video said this ant comic history will confuse you by the Pumpkinator. After seeing that thumbnail, it caught my interest. Like I said, I'm not one of those down bad people or gooners. I'm just doing it for scientists' purpose. Well, let's just dive in.
She may be called Ant, but nothing small about her. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Pumpkinator. Today we're going to be covering the Ant comic series. The Ant is a character, at least, and she's got a really strange publication history. She was owned by Arcane Comics for the first 4 issues that came out in 2004, but they sold the character to Image Comics in 2005 because Arcane Comics turned into Arcane Studios and they started making animated movies. And their movies? Bangers! The Legend of the Halloween hits! The second volume published by Image Comics ran from 2005 to 2021, and they only came out with 12 issues. And the final and most current volume came out in 2021, and it's technically still going on, but they haven't released an issue since 2023. And if you're anything like me, you were drawn in for a specific reason.
I mean, good mighty Lord. You know, like I said, research is in purpose. If this get animated, this art is not gonna be identically the same. Let's just be real. It's not gonna look the same. Y'all seen that Invincible dinosaur art? Imagine that animation is animating this series. You think all of that is gonna be animated exactly how the comic is looking? Be honest with yourself.
The story, of course. What were you thinking about? Let me calm down, yo. Mario Gully came up with the concept of Ant when he was incarcerated in 1996 for armed robbery, which you can definitely tell. So let's go over each volume and see what the story has in store for us. The story starts with a man driving his daughter to her first day at school. The little girl's name is Hannah, and she's a little nervous because she gets picked on at school. But the dad says, don't worry, because before you know, you'll be in middle school. She's in all gifted classes, which she doesn't really like, but her dad says that's something that she should be proud of. But suddenly, they get pulled over by the police, which absolutely devastates Hannah. They arrest her dad for armed robbery. You see what I mean? And she writes in her journal. You see, Hannah usually uses her journal to escape the harshness of reality. The more she writes, the more she drifts into the world she created. A world where she's strong enough to help her dad. An officer takes her to school to her dismay, and she gets separated from her dad. When she gets taken to school, the principal is there to console her. Her principal, Miss Joyce, asks her what she wants to be when she grows up, and Hannah says she wants to be a superhero. The principal absolutely shits on this idea, though. Dang! What kind of principal are you? She's having a rough day. Let her be a superhero! But this big bitch.
Look at the detail of the finger. Oh my god. Dang. Hey, do we need the detail on the finger, brother?
It's never gonna happen. So after trying to convince her, Hannah lets Miss Joyce
I'm not gonna ask any questions. I'm not gonna call the cops. I didn't see anything.
This panel is crazy. Ain't she in middle school? Is this the adult version or this is
into her world?
He watching.
I'm just gonna say it.
Right.
I think it's really freaking weird what they're doing in this panel right now. They're gonna make me feel bad for this little girl and show me this.
Right.
I feel icky now. Anyway, the principal sees what she means. She sees a version of Hannah that's driven, predestined to become strong and change her family for the better. It also shows that Hannah knows more about the things that she shouldn't know about. Things like details of real-world crimes that haven't even been made public yet. The principal chalks it up to her imagination, but Hannah really wants to be Ant. The principal feels bad for her and arranges a bus for her to get home, and gives her a number if there's any problems. We then cut to later when they're going home and a kid throws a freaking rock
Oh my
at Hannah.
god!
Dang, she can't catch a freaking break! Well, that's until this kid comes and checks on her, but she's completely done with that day. She packs up her stuff and leaves in a huff, but she leaves one thing, her journal. This kid, his name is Steven Richards, and he takes Hannah's journal home and invades her privacy by reading the journal, where he sees Ant, and she's stopping a run-of-the-mill bank heist with her
Let's keep it going.
With her acrobatics and bulletproofness and control. Because
oh
it's
my
like my
god.
worst nightmare ever since I saw like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Oh, and her super strength, which she uses to absolutely destroy these bad guys. All this astonishes Steven. But in the real world, Hannah's dad's back home, and we find out he actually didn't commit the crime. He's basically being set up to be the fall guy for his boss's murder, because he was the last person to see him alive. He absolutely refuses to go down for this, because he just wants to be there for his little girl. When Hannah gets home, they reunite with a big hug, and Hannah's day starts to get a little bit better. Well, that's until she realizes one thing. She doesn't have her journal. And that's just issue 1. The next 3 issues follow the investigation of Hannah's dad and how it's affecting their family. But ultimately, he gets sent to jail for something that he didn't do. But Hannah's mom is actually able to find evidence that he actually didn't commit the crime. It was actually the guy's son. And so the cops kill him dead. But then the story takes a really strange turn because we then see an adult Hannah in an insane asylum because of everything that happened to her.
What the heck? What happened? What did she do? Hannah, what happened?
But she freaking breaks out using her powers? Dang, that's really trippy. So did she become the ant or not? Now you're probably wondering, with a story like that, why did it end so soon? Well, Mario Gully actually addresses that at the end of his 4th issue. He lived in Florida at the time and they got hit by Hurricane Shelley. And he had a new baby on the way, so he wanted to focus on his family for a little bit.
Okay.
But the very next year, he moved over to Image Comics to start Volume 2. Because ultimately, he does care about the character. So let's cover Volume 2.
Alright, so my question, how did she get her power? Like, did she got bit by a radioactive ant, or she just randomly just got powers out of nowhere?
Volume 2 starts off with Hannah in New York City, and she has super amnesia. She doesn't remember her life. She doesn't remember how she even got there. She can barely even remember her name. The only thing she knows is what's in her journal, but it's written in some sort of code. The only thing that she can glean from it is some guy named Stephen Richards helped her in her path, who just so happens to be in New York. She walks past some kids who are fighting
Invincible?
doll. Oh no, Invincible.
Are you sure?
Oh my god, no.
Anyway, it reminds her of when she was a little kid, and this little shit steals her doll and throws it into the street, causing her to get hit by a car.
Dad got put in jail. She got thrown by a rock. She got hit by a car. No wonder why she has amnesia. No wonder why she's in an asylum.
That's their first best comic book dad ever. Well, I mean, his daughter did get hit by a car. I like him. She finds herself at a comic book convention where they just kind of let her in. They assume that she's a... Wait, is that Invincible again?
Oh my god.
They assume she's a booth girl and send her to a locker room to get ready for a presentation. And that presentation is from Stephen Richards himself. He's yapping about a new comic series about Ant, but he gets kicked by Jessica Mime. Jessica Mime and her crew, the Sidewalk Theater, that's such a stupid name, bro. But they start terrorizing the convention. This is when Ant comes in and starts kicking ass. And she quips too. She takes them on and tries to figure out who hired these B-listers and what they want with Richards. So when she's done kicking their butts, she questions Jessica Mime and asks her exactly that. But they get interrupted by the arachnid. The rest of the story is kind of trippy again and a little bit all over the place, so bear with me. So she goes and tries to save Richard, but she runs into a character that you may not know. I don't know, Spawn, and they fight for an entire issue, and it's pretty awesome. And when she does ultimately make it to Richards, she finds herself back at the convention where she ruined his presentation. So it's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. They kick her out and she really starts to think that she's crazy. And I'm starting to think so too.
Right.
I mean, look, she can't remember who she is and now she's attacking people. I don't know, bro. It's just a bad look. She moves out to Capital City, California, where Ant supposedly does most of her activity. But her landlord's breathing down her neck because she hasn't paid her rent. And for other reasons. She goes to a comic book store to investigate this Ant character and to see if she can find any answers. Where she meets Scott, who wants to help her. He's one of those guys who sees women looking at Warhammer stuff and he just starts hovering, you know what I'm saying? He tells her that Richard's Ant comic is trash because he's trying to cash in on Ant's fame. But as we know, she doesn't know anything about her. So he fills her in. It all started with 9/11. Bro, what the fuck is this guy?
9/11 is crazy.
Anyway, we went to war and it had negative impacts on the rest of the world. Al-Qaeda was harvesting an army and was planning world domination. The US government ultimately dissolved and cities were being targeted one by one. Some of the world's supers wanted to help, others not so much.
Is that
but it all
supposed to be
changed
Hulk?
when
No,
she showed up. And she took on an entire army by herself, which led to world peace. But then one day she just vanished.
Hey, this panel is insane.
One day she just vanished.
Super Bowl.
What? Why didn't you just make that into the comic? That sounds fucking rad. When Hannah leaves the comic shop, she starts freaking out because she doesn't think she'll be able to live up to that. But then she hears a voice, and it's an ant telling her to look into her backpack, where she finds her costume spray and becomes the ant once more. And then the rest of the story is her actually finding out that she is the ant, but they explain it in such a weird and convoluted way that I'm just gonna break it down for you so it's a lot easier to understand. Let's start with her backstory. After she grew up, she was running from some guys who wanted to do some not so nice things to her, so she freaking kills them. She gets arrested and basically gets sent to the Red Room to become a soldier for the government. They then put her on a Black Ops team called Omega 1 that's led by a character named Charlie Echo to carry out missions for the government. But then one of the missions goes south and she gets badly wounded. So when she gets brought in, the government experiments on her to suppress her memories. That's why she was in asylum. Now the government's trying to get her back to complete the process because they can't control her. And Stephen Richards was actually her sidekick, Gadget Man, and the comic he wrote explained how he helped her. All this was explained by Charlie Echo, who defected to help her out. So after this issue, Gully sells Ant to Eric Larson because he felt like he was neglecting the character. Which I can understand because he didn't make another issue for 14 years. So Eric decided to try to finish up the story. Good Good for her. The final issue of Volume 2 starts with Charlie Echo dying, which cool. I really like that character because, you know, he actually made the plot move along instead of her just being amnesiac the entire time. Plus, he gave our lady some closure. Anyway, she tries to fight off the agents and ultimately gets captured. Oh, and like Daredevil's there for some reason. When she wakes up, she's hooked up to this machine that's being operated by...
Oh my god, what happened to the art style? Man, I mean, the thickness is still there, but like, what happened?
She's hooked up to this machine that's being operated by her dad? Yeah? Okay. He restores her memory and she gets to lead a normal superhero life while also still being on the run from the government. And I'm gonna be honest, I freaking hate this. Like, if anything, they should have just left the story be, honestly. The issue kind of just feels rushed and wanted to end the story. But like, why end the story if you're not gonna give it like a satisfying ending? Also, the art isn't the same quality and it gave me freaking reader's whiplash.
Yeah.
And go over Volume 3 because it's just the retelling of Volume 2, just like in a different art style and more streamlined. But yeah, this comic is something else. It definitely had its story issues, which I guess is to be expected when you have 11 writers over 17 years, you know? But despite everything, I will say I liked the initial story. I kind of wish that they expounded upon that more. You could tell it was heartfelt and coming from a real genuine place, but like Volume 2 really just dropped the ball. I'm not the biggest fan of amnesia stories, and her finding out that she's still at the convention really made me mad because that's just 2 to 3 issues that just didn't happen. So how am I supposed to get invested in a story when you could just be like, nah, never mind, bro? You know what I'm saying? Also, the story is really muddled because, like, how did she start working with Gadget Man after she left the Black Ops? 9/11 being a plot point is crazy.
Exactly. I was interested about the story because I'm still trying to figure out how did she got superpowers,
especially like in 2005, bro. It's just a little convoluted, but I'll say I'm a little bit of a fan. My headcanon is that the first 4 issues, perfect. Those are the ones you should get. Everything else, meh. I wonder if Gully would be down to like finish this story, like his actual vision. I don't know. She got a big booty though. But yeah, that's what I think about the end. If I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments below. Also, like the video, you gooner. I know why you clicked the video. You're not.
I mean, like, hey, what's the thumbnail, bro? Like, you to this guy, the Pumpkiner. I'll leave his channel and his video in the description down below. You guys go ahead and check him out. It's me, boy Xavier White. See you guys next time. Peace.